want to introduce yourself, do a quick little about me, so that way people know the type of schedule you're dealing with, kids, husband, all the fun stuff that makes it more difficult than someone like me who gets to build their own schedule and tell other people that it's possible.
Definitely. So I'm Rachel. I am a mom of two littles. I have a 6 going on 7-year old and a 2 going on 3-year old. My 6-year old has a crazy schedule with cheer and school and before and after school with at the YMCA. It's nonstop. Son in daycare, working full time. My husband owns his own business, so that's nutty. And trying to find the time to do anything for myself is almost impossible, but not impossible. It's
Perfect.
pretty much about me.
Perfect. So, well, I guess not really currently. When you first came to me, we first started talking to work together, what were your health and fitness goals? Are they still the same? Just kind of an overview of what that looks like.
So my health and fitness goals at first, I'm a little shaky here, but my health and fitness goals at first were definitely to get back down in the weight because I was at 150 and it's crazy because I was above what I was after having my second kid and I wasn't changing anything. I was still eating 1,200 calories a day. I was still working out 6 to 7 days a week, using cardio nonstop, weights, you name it. I was trying everything. And then I was even to the point where I'm like, maybe I sneak in a dance class or maybe I sneak in Pilates here and what can I do to break that? And I just kept going up on the scale. And I'm like, what is going on? So that's when I turned to you because I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing wrong. I eat really, really healthy and usually stay away from the bad stuff. When I say bad stuff, I mean sweets and stuff. But when it comes to alcohol, I like to enjoy it, but I also don't go overboard with that either. I don't really drink during the week and keep it to the weekends, but it was tough. And it's still remains the same goal. I'd like to get back down. I love having a muscular body and I love being fit and just I don't know, I feel like the more muscle tone fit I am sports wise, I like to be competitive. I even did Spartan races in the past and would love to do that again in the future. But stuff like that, I don't know, it gives me more confidence. And I was definitely lacking that. So I
Yeah.
definitely am keeping the same role of I wanna continue to get better myself.
And I know when we had first talked, I don't know if I would say you were hesitant to work with me. You seemed pretty excited about working with me. And then when I gave you the initial layout of what it was going to look like, I feel like you might have had some second guesses or maybe thought that I was a little crazy because, as you had said,
Hmm.
you were working out 7 days a week, eating barely any food. I know you were super strict on the foods you were eating. And so one of our first conversations, we got on the phone and I was like, yeah, you need to stop doing so much.
Yeah.
I believe we cut cardio out from the mornings, dropped back the workouts to 4 or 5 days a week and started increasing your calories. And so on your end, what kind of thoughts did you go through with that? And did you feel at any point like maybe this was a mistake? I don't know if I want this.
It was really scary when you said, well, huge red flag, you're not eating enough. And then we started upping my calories. And that was like panic of like, I don't even know what to do with these calories because I didn't. I know we struggled with that because you were going over my charts and you're like, you didn't eat enough and you didn't get enough protein, you didn't get enough of this. And it's like, I don't even know what to eat anymore because I'm so strict to like 1,200 calories. Like, how do I even know what to consume? And then it got to a point of we were up to I think we maxed out at like 2,300. And by that point, I was literally loving it. I don't even know how to not eat this amount. And yeah, so it was really scary at first because I was even stepping on the scale and I'm like, I'm gaining weight. This is not what I want. And I'm getting really frustrated with that. But you kept reassuring me to like keep taking photos, keep measuring, and don't believe the scale right now. You're still working out, you're still doing this, you just need to up those calories. And yeah, no, it was scary. And there was quite a few mornings where I woke up, stepped on that scale, looked in the mirror, and I'm like, oh, this is not what I want to do. But I don't know. It's proven over time. We've been doing this for 5 months now, and it's just about 5 months, and it's proven over time that like, holy crap, you were right because even my waist size is smaller than it was when we started. I weigh just a little bit more. my muscle tone, holy moly, I have quads like a horse and I love it. And I don't know, it's crazy. But also going back down in the calories, I'm now panicking because I'm like, I can't have the things that I was having before, so this sucks. It's so used to it, but at the same time, I don't know. It really has been a total 360 because yeah, the whole calorie increase and watching my weight go up, that type of stuff, it definitely threw me through a loop, but you weren't wrong.
It's good. I was very glad. I know we had so many conversations about scale in general and with calories. I know that you had said you had looked stuff up on your
Yep.
own to just like double check to be like, well, he says that my metabolism slowed down, but what's like the facts behind that? And I know that you had looked stuff up. So what were some big misconceptions that you had about weight loss before we started working together? And like, which ones are like the main ones that you feel like you've worked through really well and you understand a lot better now, 5 months later from where we were initially?
So the biggest one was definitely when it came to calories in versus calories out and burning calories. I fell victim to that trap with MyFitnessPal. I fell victim to it with Carb Manager. I think I tried even, it was like macros or something like that, Macro Manager. I've tried all three of them in the past. And when I realized that, I don't know, every single time I would burn a calorie, I'd gain a calorie of food. And I was doing that forever. I would literally get to the end of the day and be like, I'm starving. I'm going to go for a 30-minute walk and burn 40 calories or whatever so I can, not even 40 calories, but it's an understatement, but like burn some more calories so I can eat, I don't know, or just drink a protein shake or something so I have a little bit more calories to put in. And then when we swapped over to the trainer app, and that's when it hit me because when we swapped over to that and I was plugging in my calories and at the end of the day I remember messaging you and I'm like, I just did a workout. Why didn't it give me like 300 calories back? And you're like, because it's not supposed to.
That
That was
happened.
a
I was
culture
like,
shock. I
oh
was like,
no.
what? So stuff like that was a huge shocker because I know so many people that fall victim to that. Like my mom is even one of those, and she's a huge workout aholic, always has been her entire life. That woman's in better shape than I am. And she's always done that. And she always told me, like, oh, well, if you're a little bit over on calories, just go for a walk or just do this and just do that. And I'm like, now I'm thinking back and I'm like, that's not right. That doesn't work that way. But
All the calorie trackers are so inaccurate, even from like device to device, right? So I have a Fitbit on my wrist and I have an Oura ring on my finger. And so yesterday I did my workout and the Oura ring said that I burned 480 calories and my Fitbit said I burned 200. And so it was like, even from device to device, there's like this 200 calorie discrepancy. And so if you're
mhm.
using something like that to try and lose weight, you can very easily like, oh, I'm going to go do cardio and I'm going to do a workout and now I have 500 extra calories. When the reality of the situation is you might have only burned 200 and so now there's 300 calories that are just adding up. And then at the end of the week, 300 a day will completely cancel out any weight loss that you were trying to achieve. And so it can just be stressful. And so I know that you've gotten more used to the way that we run things where it's just like everything averages out. So you might miss your calories by 5-10% one day, but it's not really a big deal because you're probably going to miss them again and your exercise fluctuates. And so it's just everything is more of averages rather than strict day-to-day chunks, if that makes sense. Sorry, I cut you off. What were you saying?
No, I was agreeing. Yeah, that was definitely the biggest misconception. I can't believe it. And that could have been a huge thing all along of reason why I couldn't lose weight is just trying to balance those two things out and realizing that I was doing more harm than good. Because I think
Yeah, yeah.
that was another, I was gonna say that was another thing that when we got to the point of the end of my road of raising calories, that's when we realized that the entire time I was pretty much eating like 2,400 calories a day. I don't know if you remember that, but I was like, oh man.
I remember we had like, I think technically like 2 or 3 calorie bumps left. And then you were like, why didn't this give me any calories? I was like, what are you talking about? And then we retroactively looked back and it was like each jump was actually like 500 or 600 above where it really was. So we were like, oh,
Yeah.
we're here. We're done. That's it. Which was kind of nice. It was a good cheat code to jump ahead. And it was also obviously good that we figured that out. when we did, instead of just like continuing up, and then we just keep pushing your calories up, and suddenly you'd be like, why am I gaining weight? And I'd be like, let's look at everything. So that was good. But between the overworking and the under eating and the micromanaging of daily activities, I feel like those were probably, in my perspective, the biggest things to tackle for you. But in your opinion, what was, or what has been the hardest part of this whole thing so far? I know that we're only like a couple of weeks into a fat loss phase now that we got your metabolism back up and functioning. But in the past 5 months, what's kind of the hardest thing for you?
Accountability. I now have someone watching me. That's been the hardest thing because before, with the micromanaging of my whole life, being super stressed out at work, stressed out at home, trying to get Allie here, Maddie there, and also stay up way too late trying to reach a deadline, so also lack of sleep. All of that type of stuff, that was just life. And then having someone else monitor that and say, like, you've only been getting like 6 hours of sleep a night, that's not okay. And you need to like, take some time and make sure that you can make some time. It's nice having that accountability. That was a tough, I don't know, that was tough because now having someone watch me is like it really pushes you to get there.
And
I don't know.
so well, that was good. Just kind of in the same vein of time management. I was super strict about the sleep thing. I said, well, you need to be sleeping more. And I also said, you need to be taking more time to just relax and like, enjoy some time because there's just too much. I was talking about for all the stress that you have in life, you need to actively do some de-stressing. And so how have you been able to kind of get more of the sleep, get a little bit more time to decompress in your schedule despite having to work and run around and get kids to practice and get them to school and all this stuff?
Honestly, for that, it's making sure that I get everything really done and out of the way when the kids aren't around, so during the workday, in the manner of my lunch breaks. I actually eat my lunch physically at my desk while I work, and then I take that full hour to focus on myself. I'm very lucky that I have a gym at my work, and if I didn't, I definitely would like, drive down to the nearest Fit Lab, Planet Fitness, what have you. But I'm lucky that I have one right down the hall from me. So going there and taking that hour to be able to check out and do my workout, focus on me, and then even when I get it done before the hour, I walk or something, and I just try to, like, I'll be on my phone, I'll be planning the week ahead and getting that type of stuff out of the way. So when I do get home, I have all that time to relax and hang out with my family and be present. And I don't know, it's been making life a lot easier to be able to just take that time throughout the day and just swap something instead of taking an hour and sitting in a cafeteria eating or in my car or wherever anyone else eats. Like I just eat while I work. It's not a big deal. And then I take that hour and I do whatever the hell I please with it. And
Yeah.
yeah, so like that's been a huge de-stressor, just kind of swapping time around because even before then, I would put the kids to bed and I would clean up the whole house and do all that type of stuff, and then I would jump on my bike and ride, or or reverse and wake up super early in the morning at like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and jump on my bike and ride for an hour, and then take a shower, and then come home. And straight after coming home, I would do a workout for an hour, panic about getting dinner ready before the kids go to bed, and like, all that type of stuff. And I'm like, this is crazy. But it's been nice rearranging things and making sure that making time for myself has really helped being able to be present for everyone else.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I think that's super important, especially with taking care of yourself, because being a parent, that your kids are going to reflect whatever you do. So if you're going crazy and stressing out about a million different things, they're going to be a lot more stressful, and down the road it's going to make your life even harder, which is not going to be fun. So it's good to have that in place where you're setting a good example and you're able to be present and enjoy the company and really the whole family thing, which is something that we all, or at least maybe not we all want to do, but a lot of us want to do. And so what would you say your proudest accomplishments have been so far since we started working on everything about 5 months ago?
Proudest accomplishment, and it's totally like, I don't know, it's definitely like a body complex thing. I put on a bathing suit just just yesterday, 2 days ago. Yeah, it was 2 days ago. I put on a bathing suit 2 days ago that I tried on over the winter when we were supposed to go on vacation. And I looked in the mirror when I tried it on. I was just like, oh God, no, this is terrible. But trying it on 2 days ago, I looked hot. That was a huge accomplishment for me because like something like that, it boosted my confidence. My confidence has not been there since we started. It has not
Yeah.
been there. Like I used to have so much confidence in myself and feel great, and then it just totally dipped down. And getting it back, that's big. That means a lot because I don't know. Once again, being a mom, having especially a daughter, I don't want her to like see that come out of me, of me looking in the mirror and be like, oh, I don't look good in this bathing suit, because I don't want her to have those thoughts. So
Yeah.
it's nice being able to like rock a bathing suit and look at my daughter and be like, what does mommy look? And she's like, what? Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah, that's awesome. And honestly, at the end of the day, I know there's kind of like a weird climate around self-image, especially currently with how everything is politically, but there's nothing wrong with wanting to look in the mirror and be like, damn, I look good. It's something that realistically everyone wants, and it can hurt mentally to not feel that. And it can be really hard, especially if you're in a situation where you're putting in a ton of work and you're not really getting what you want out of it. So then when you're looking in the mirror, it's like, well, I'm doing all of this, but like, what the fuck? I still don't look like I want
Yeah.
to. And so just to get there, especially with where we're at, we've been adding in calories for like 4.5, 5 months for you to be like, this bathing suit fit is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And the first time you told me that, so that's I super happy about that too. So
Yeah.
um,
No, it's definitely discouraging. I mean, look in the mirror and you're not happy with it. But yeah. Whew, light at the end of the tunnel. And it's only going to get brighter because we're still going down in calories. So I'm so pumped.
yeah, I was gonna ask, how much do you feel like the scale affects your outlook on how everything's going, right? Because I know there's been a couple of times where like you've been killing the workouts and you've been hitting a lot of PRs and your nutrition's in line, and like you'll really positive about things, and then you'll hit a random high weight on the scale from, maybe a late meal or a little high stress or a little less sleep, whatever the factor is. How much
Mhm.
do you feel like that messes with your mindset? And do you feel like having an external voice, being mine in this situation, to just say like, hey, I know that there's this big bump. We've recently gone over this. Your graph has this
Yeah.
downward slant, but you have this one random uptick, and you go, oh shit, what is that? So how much do you feel like the scale kind of controls your perception of how well things are going? And how much does it help to have someone external to just kind of give a little bit of direction and explain, big deal.
It has been a huge factor to me. I mean, I think it's where a lot of people, when you step on the scale, you want it to read that certain number, especially when you're pushing really hard for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, days, and I know there were days like that with me, I mean, scale, and it's like 153. And then the next day I step on the scale and it's like 150.5. And then 2 days later, it's like 151. And I'm down to like 150. I'm like, oh, yes, I worked so hard. And then I get back, or and then I get down to even like, I think just recently got down to 149.
Yeah.
And then, like it was 2 days later, I step on the scale and it's 153. And I wanted to throw the scale out the door and just feel like this is garbage, absolute garbage. I mean, very discouraging stepping on the scale and seeing that. And that's why, like, it's having someone else being able to monitor that, because if you weren't there, that would have just ruined it for me. Like, one of those things of if I was just using like Body or whatever, one of those apps that had like the created workouts, and I saw that
Yeah.
on the scale, I would be like, okay, this program's not working for me. I need to find something else, or I need to push harder, or I need to do this, or I need to do that, and eat less. I don't know. Like, I was
Now,
freaking
up
out.
to 1,200
But
in the first place.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, but you, when I wrote to you and I was just like, oh my God, why this happen? And you just showed me like the growth of, look, you're still going down. You're still in a better place than you were. It helped me like sit back, looked at it thoroughly, and I'm like, okay, nope, right. I'm still going down. That was just one day. It was weird. We'll get over it. And yeah, it's because I'm starting to notice now too of like, if I don't, well, I mean, you're well aware, I drink a gallon of water a day. This has been a
Mhm.
habit of mine since I don't even know. I think my daughter was like I started drinking a gallon of water a day. And
Yeah.
so for the past 7 years, this has been a thing. And um, yeah, like when I go less than a gallon, my weight goes up. It's weird. my body's so used to it. It's so used to that excess amount of water that if I have any less, like a cup less, whatever, my weight goes up. And it's like, it doesn't know what to do with the salt. Why is it here? Let's gain a pound. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, crazy. It really is. Cause like the scale, I feel like it has been my worst enemy my entire life. And it's going to be a long time before I become friends with it, but I'm working on it.
Yes. Yeah. The work in progress always is. I mean, myself, I still have those days, recently, because I'm going through a diet myself right now. And I stepped on the scale and I was like, why am I up 5 pounds? And then I did basically the same thing I did with you. I just went through and like looked at all the pictures and I'm like going side by side from like 2 weeks ago now. And just like things to look for, knowing the like quirks that everyone's body has, like that thing with the water, like what did I do? And then it was easy to kind of put like, all right, I'm just gonna whatever. I'm just gonna not do anything different and see what happens. And then it just was like a weird 1 day fluctuation, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. And the scale is so valuable, but can be so overwhelming sometimes. And I think the more that we're able to just take it as a metric and a external factor, like one of many things to look at, the more it helps to not let it be like the thing. So that, what would you give to a busy parent that feels like they can't make it happen? What would you say would be like your 2 or 3 tips for a parent that's just like, I just don't know what to do because I just don't have time to lose weight or to work out or to like make work for myself. I have to do everything for everyone else.
Well, my biggest tip is there's always time. I mean, firm believer that you can always make the time. I exchange my lunch break for a workout, and if you're not as lucky as I am to have a gym at your workplace, go for a walk. I mean, if it's like 30 minutes, or you exchange that 30-minute walk for you wake up 30 minutes earlier in the morning or something, and you at least try it. And with especially littles, it's actually easier than you think to work out around them. I that with my daughter. She starts like working out with me when she's around, and I mean it's like I have like these 2 pound weights that I used for my bar classes back in the day when I was doing bar classes, and Rachel is going crazy with the bike and all that other stuff. But she my 2 pound weights, and she starts doing arm curls with them and like doing spaces, like everything like with them, and it's adorable. And then there's my son who I'll be like doing passes laying on the floor because I obviously don't have a bench at home, but I'll be laying on the floor and he'll just come and sit on my chest. And I'm like, okay, mom can't breathe, but I'm still going to push through this. like, but it's stuff that where like you definitely find the time, you can find a way. And I don't know, it's fun working out with the kids around as long as they keep it safe, because once they go crazy, that's when I put the baby gate up and I'm like, all right, mom's getting her time. But there is always time. I mean, always been a firm that you can create it some way or another. I mean, waking up 30 minutes earlier, you just go to bed 30 minutes earlier type of deal. And yeah, I mean, it comes time for like kids getting crazy. If you have older kids that are in sports like mine, I mean, you come off at their sport and you come home and just get your workout in as fast as you can. No one cares that you're going to pick them up all sweaty and gross, because guess what? Your kid is also sweaty and gross. So no one cares.
Yeah.
I was doing that too. I drop my daughter off at cheerleading and I run back home and I get my workout in for an hour. It gives me about 30 minutes after travel to like decompress, water, like chill out for a second, and then I go pick her back up. And I always show up all sweaty and gross, but no one cares. I mean, I feel like they almost envy you because other parents look at you and they're like, oh crap, I could have done that.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I show up to pick up Emery from daycare and I'll just be like disgusting from the gym. And the only times I'm like, I feel bad is when I like sweat out my deodorant and I'm like, I can tell that I probably am gross right now and I'm just going to go walk by people.
Oh, excuse me, don't smell, please. Just hold your nose.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm disheveled. I smell as bad as I look.
Yeah, no, it's because there are so many people out there. I work with a bunch of people that are like that, where they're like, oh, how do you find the time to work out? And I'm like, I'm here the same amount of time you guys are. I just utilize my lunch break different. Like, and they're like, oh, well, you didn't take lunch break today. How are you gonna get your workout in? Because I always get crap for it since like I'm one of the only ones that is ever in the gym, so everyone knows like Rachel's gym time. But
Yeah.
they'll get crap for it, and they're like, "Oh, you didn't make it down there. How are you gonna get that done?" And I'm like, "Well, while dinner's cooking, I'm literally gonna lift and cook, which I've done numerous times. Like get the chicken, throw it in the oven, and while it's cooking for 35 minutes, I try to bust out a quick 35-minute workout like as fast as I can. I mean, you can. And then, I
Yeah.
mean, healthy eating too. It's really, I mean, thing a lot of parents have come at me for. They're like, how do you have to prep two different meals and everything? Nope, my kids eat what I make. I definitely parent like my parents parented and like they're parented of you eat what mom made you or you don't eat at all. And you know what? My kids love vegetables and stuff now, so that's great because they had no other
I was going
choice.
to ask that because Emery loves vegetables and fruits. It's actually ironically like, depending on the day, hard to get her to eat like whatever the protein is with dinner because she just wants to eat the broccoli or she just wants to eat, I don't know, what has she been obsessed with recently? Like the apples. Like, no, I just want an
Yeah.
apple. I think it's a great example with it. It's just kind of like see what you do. And if you're always eating like this and this is what you're always cooking for them, they're not going to know differently. This is just going to be good food to them. So it's
Right.
like you're just making healthy food for everyone, and then everyone gets to benefit from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other thing that I learned too is like there's things that my kids won't eat. So heck yeah, I mac and cheese as a side to my dinners. You know what? I'm fine with it. I get a tiny little serving for myself, and my kids get mac and cheese for dinner. They're cool with it. I'm cool with it. I mean, my daughter's not that cool with it. My daughter's not going to be a cheap date when she's older because she's the kid that likes salmon, cod, venison. I mean, I had lamb the other day, and she's like, "This is amazing," and I'm like, "I feel bad for whoever you end up dating. You are not going to be a cheap date." But I mean, the thing too is like it does have to be the whole meal. Your whole meal doesn't have to be healthy. It can have a side dish for your kids, and that side dish
Yes.
just happens to be their meal. It is what it is. They're still eating.
Yep. Yep. Good. Two very valuable pieces of advice for literally anyone. I know I say all the time, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. When you say asterisks around that, it's like, no, you're mother of like multiple kids, you have a job, but that's literally you. So you do get to say that. You can say, hey, we all have the same 24 hours. You can
Mm-hmm.
make it work if you want to. It's just like making time for the things that are important for you. And then, yeah, cook food for your kids and they'll learn to like it eventually.
Like I said, even if you do have a picky eater, well, that's the picky eater's dish is the side dish.
Yeah. And
And then you get a
honestly,
little
you
treat
know,
yourself.
so many people out here confusing healthy food with bland food, you know?
Mhm.
That's something like you say you make mac and cheese on the side and like something like that. People will be like, oh, mac and cheese is
Also,
bad. Mac and cheese is just food, my guy.
those Purdue chicken nuggets that have cauliflower in them, my kids don't know. I mean, that is the real shit. They weren't kidding when they're like, kids can't tell. It's true. And they're bad for you. I've checked out the ingredients and I'm like, okay, I could actually eat this as a meal and it's not bad protein. But I'd probably still be hungry afterwards because I can also eat like a full grown man. But yeah, I mean, time in the day and people can definitely find it. It's just a willingness to find it. Because another example of just my spouse. My husband, he work out, he doesn't do any of that. But granted, he works out all day long. He's a contractor, so he's constantly working out all day long.
Mhm.
But when he gets home, I mean, time for him, and he gets like a good 4 to 5 hours of chill out time. And I think about it in the manner of like, there's two of us. If he really wanted to, he could easily escape and go to the gym. I mean, like we have weights, we have everything here. Like you could utilize it here, but he
Mhm.
just feel the need, and it's not necessarily laziness, but it's just more of like it's just not how he wants to spend his day. But the people out there that do feel like they want to spend their day that way, you got to look at it that way. Of at the end of the day, how much time do you really have between getting home, cooking dinner, and going to bed? Because the majority of us, we get home at like 5:36, probably ready by 7, and we're probably in
Mhm.
bed by 9. So what are you doing in between 7 and 9? You know, do
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. I'm always pressed to believe when someone says I don't have any time in the day. It's like you do. It's just leaking out somewhere. Like it's at
Yeah.
some point in time you're something not valuable with your time that you could swap out. It's just a matter of priority level, you know?
And then you get to that point where you're stressed out when you can't work out. Like me today. I was so mad. I
Yes.
didn't get my lunch break.
Yeah,
Didn't get
so
it.
you're there.
Yeah. And then just thinking about it and you're like, crap, I really could have used that.
You're like, I'm gonna kill that workout tomorrow.
Oh, heck yeah. All across the board.
10. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come on and answer some questions and let me, personal life for other people to hopefully get
I'm more
something
than
out of.
happy
I
to share.
think it was useful. I think that you're doing a great job. You had any issues, we might get a little caught up on random things here and there, but who doesn't? So.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. No, this is totally fine. I like pry into my personal life as much as you want. I don't mind telling people what it's like to be absolutely crazy busy and still trying to make an hour for yourself because it is worth it. I mean, it's
Perfect.
what keeps me happy and not wanting to throw everyone out of my house.
I appreciate everyone who watches this. And Rachel, we will probably talk tomorrow, honestly.
Good. Have a
All
good
right.
night. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Good night.